This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Today on CityCast Denver, the guys behind the Oriental Theater are once again revamping an old movie palace on the north side, meaning Denver's art scene gains another vintage gem turned music venue. Plus, President Trump's portrait is gone from the state capitol, but what will replace it? Me and a special guest dig into these stories, plus we hear from a listener on flock cameras and ice. Today is Tuesday, June 24th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Westward Editor-in-Chief Patty Calhoun, good morning.
Good morning.
So I think the biggest news over the last couple of days has been the announcement that the Federal Theater will finally be reopening as an actual entertainment venue. And this old movie palace has not actually shown movies since the 70s. But what do you think about this news, Patty?
It's great news for the music scene, for music lovers, for people who wanted something to happen to this old movie palace.
So badly.
It had been, over the last 50 years, I think it's been a church, it's been a carpet emporium, but it has not been a live venue. And when you look at ones like the Esalen, which you wished would come back, it's so great that in this part of town, which is jumping, we're going to have more music. And it's brought to us by the people who do the Oriental, who certainly know how to put on shows, how to book events, how to bring community together.
And it's completely independent, bringing up the guys from the Oriental. So Scott Happel, Andy Burkhan, Peter Orr are the folks that run the Oriental Theater. And what I thought was cool was Scott said they have months where they have to turn away shows because they're booked at the Oriental. So now they have a place to book those shows.
You would think the city had enough venues, but we have enough venues of certain sizes. But whenever you're looking for something in this kind of a sweet spot, there's not enough. And it's great. I mean, they've shown the Oriental you can do it. And I think they share a landlord, which is how this came about so neatly.
Okay, I thought that part was really interesting. So yeah, the Oriental and the Federal Theater are owned by the Sager family, who I think have owned them for a long time. I was kind of surprised that it took this long to turn it back into a theater, but I guess there was a church in there last. Their lease was up in 2023, and they approached the guys at the Oriental and said, do you want to do something with this? But I thought this kind of felt like one of those old Denver stories where I was like, you guys, we've been revitalizing these theaters since the 90s. What have you been doing?
Well, but it took them a while on the Oriental really to get it going.
Fair.
And now it's doing very well. And just to see what else is out there and where the real interest is. You're still going to have some issues with parking in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a great place for shows.
Yeah, so it's at 38th and Federal. Something else I thought was interesting was Scott, again with the Oriental, had said, you know, we've seen the changes on Tennyson where the Oriental is over the last decade or so. And he's like, I think we had a little bit to do with that. You know, folks go to shows and then they get a drink before or after at bars and restaurants around there. And he's hoping that something similar could happen because that section of Federal, there are quite a few vacant buildings. Do you think that it could have that same Tennyson effect?
I think it could really help. And it won't be the same as Tennyson, where you've got the moms and pops that kind of got booted out for bigger real estate developments.
That would be my concern, too.
In this case, I don't think that'll be the issue. But you see how Sunnyside has become so popular. And this would be a good gathering place for those heading up to Sunnyside, up at the edge of Lehigh, Highland. All those other North Side neighborhoods will all benefit from this.
Yeah, for sure. And again, what's really cool is it's independent. So these guys are booking not only national acts, obviously, they bring in national acts, but like live podcasts. They do wrestling, they do comedy, they do movie premieres. I mean, I just think that there's so much opportunity for the local community to utilize another venue.
I've gone to political events at the Oriental. I've gone to birthday parties at the Oriental. There aren't that many places people can go and rent if they want to put on a show or a panel or something. So this is great. I mean, we've seen the Holiday, which has been renovated.
Yes, another North Side theater.
Completely resurrected by MCA, Museum of Contemporary Art. And that's been an incredible adjunct.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I have to say we hear so many bummer stories about old Denver places closing that when I saw this story, I was like, oh my gosh, finally something to celebrate. It's something that in my lifetime, I've never been in this building.
I'm trying to think.
I think I was there when it was
a carpet place.
Okay,
because we did a story. I can't remember what the guy's name. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but we did a story about what it would take to bring back. And that was probably 30, 40 years ago. But you think about other movie palaces that have become porno palaces or become climbing gyms, or in the case of that really cool one on South Broadway that became Archetype Brewing is just simply empty.
Oh, the Weber Theater.
The Weber, which was a really unbelievable theater. So it's such a win to have this back.
Yeah, I agree. And we already have such great sort of prototypes for this, right? The Gothic, the Bluebird, the Ogden, again, the Oriental. So I know even for, especially for touring musicians, I've heard it's really cool to play Denver because those size venues in other cities are often just a big black box, right? You're maybe in a strip mall or you're just in a sort of nondescript building. But to get to play in one of these theaters, and for what Scott is saying, he said the interior is pretty well intact.
It's really great. And then, of course, there's spin-offs. Smaller places will have before and after parties.
Totally.
It's just a win-win for the music scene, which is already doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And they brought in Maury's Neon, the company that redoes all the neon around the city. So we're going to have another beautiful neon sign. And yeah, 650 seat, another 650 seat theater. You would think, can we fill that? I think
like a shot.
Yeah, I was going to say no shortage of that. I guess, I'm going to put a link in the show notes, but what's really cool too is they're running a fundraiser right now. So you can sort of be an early supporter of it and you can donate to this federal theater reopening, and like they're doing like plaques on the wall. You can get t-shirts. So you can kind of be part of the ground up operations if you're interested, which I thought was a really smart model.
It's a founders club that might actually get you more than the Casa Bonita Founders Club.
Did you get your card in the mail?
I did.
Yeah, I would love a founders club card for the federal theater, but I also would take a plaque. I think that would be pretty cool. Well, we're going to keep watching that. They said, I think they're hoping to finish up renovations in August and open by September, which is crazy. But they've been working on this since January of 2024. Patty, you know everything. Had you heard grumblings of this?
I haven't. I've heard rumblings about a few other venues I can't talk about, but this one, I think Monday last week is when we started hearing there was something they could talk about soon. And they were very organized about embargoing the news till Thursday, so everyone got a fair shake at it, and it stayed quiet.
I was really surprised too. I was surprised I hadn't heard a word about this in the last few years. So good for them, but also I'm really excited to see what comes. This episode is brought to you by the Regional Air Quality Council. Created from pollutants like car exhaust, did you know that ozone is the Front Range's biggest air quality issue and a leading cause of respiratory problems? But you can do something about it. Take simple steps for better air this summer and leave the car at home and walk, bike, or scoot shorter distances. Maybe carpool, combine trips. Take transit where you need to go. Oh my God, I had to be a carpooler in Catholic school with a family that I did not like. So I was really upset. I was like, it's fine if we carpool with the Toveries, but the Heffelmans, I don't like them. And my mom was like, well, too bad. This is the carpool and this is how it works. And I remember crying like the night before school started because I had to go with David in the car, and we did not get along. Turned out fine. I mean, I got to school. So that's Catholic school car problems for you, I guess. Sign up for Summer Ozone text alerts to know when it matters most by texting Better Air CO to 21000, or sign up for emails at simplestepsbetterair.org. Learn more ways to help improve air quality on the Front Range at simplestepsbetterair.org.
Dealing with hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, is tough. But you're not alone. Before I started Cosentyx, I looked at the website and saw it had many years of clinical research. That made me feel confident.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Don't use if allergic to Cosentyx. Get checked for TB before starting. Increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like TB or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough. had a vaccine or plan to, or if IBD symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTIX or Cosentix.com.
Don't wait. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
Okay, our next story. I feel like it's a little less fun, but it's no less interesting. So there was this kerfuffle a couple of months ago over the portraits in the Capitol, which are presidential portraits in the state capitol here. And President Trump saw his, freaked out, and he called it truly the worst. So now there's this blank space and where the portrait should be. And History Colorado has seen this as an opportunity. They've been talking about, for the 150th birthday of the state, what if we brought in governors' portraits instead of presidential portraits? What did you think about this idea?
So this is Donda Prince mentioned it. She's the head of History Colorado. It's not a bad idea. You know, we also have portraits of well-known Coloradans or noteworthy Coloradans, and we could also consider doing that. But the governor's idea is good. There's really no reason you have to have the presidents. Other capitals don't have the presidents. The ironies abound with this Trump complaint. It was up there for a long time. It was commissioned by Republicans in 2019. It was authorized. They loved it. Took Trump, 2 years plus to find it? I mean, he certainly bombed Iran a lot faster than he went after this. But the poor artist who created it took so much heat. And
she said that this has upended her career and that she's concerned her business will never recover.
She quit talking about it. I mean, I would love to have her authorized to do some of the gubernatorial portraits if that happens. But
so there's a couple missing. History Colorado's missing 4 portraits of governors, including current governor Jared Polis. They said they could put up photographs of the missing governors, which I feel like might look weird. I don't
say give this woman the commission and let her paint them.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I feel like that's the most heartbreaking part about this is, like you said, Republicans paid for it. Republicans approved it. It was here for 2 years and he still didn't like it. But I wonder, maybe we could get a painting of Polis in there. I don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to get a painting of Polis. I doubt he would complain about it. But really, when you think about, it's worth going to see the other people who are highlighted there.
That's fair.
And if you go up, you can go up to the Dome and you can see all this historic stuff. So people should all visit the state capitol before the Sesquicentennial Centennial. I'm probably missing something there, but should go visit it before the 150th and think, what do they want? Do they want this? Do they want the bridge? Meanwhile, I would love to see the Trump portrait put on display just the way the Civil War monument, the toppled statue was put on display at History Colorado, letting people talk about it.
Yeah, letting people actually see it in real life. You brought up the bridge, which is Polis's big idea to build this bridge over from Civic Center.
It's actually from the state capitol to Veterans Park.
Okay.
Which is still part of state property.
Okay.
Civic Center is part of Denver property. So I think that is why it ends at Veterans Park. There were some issues about whether the city wanted it. I think there should be issues about whether we want it at all. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's expensive. I don't think it solves any real disability problems.
There have
to be easier ways to get people to access the Capitol, and it just looks stupid. To use a very sophisticated art term, it looks stupid. I've heard no one.
I was going to say, we've had a hard time finding anybody who would like to talk about it positively. My thought is, are we just going to get a bunch of dumb projects coming forward as we push for the celebration of our 150th anniversary of the state of Colorado? I just think, what else is going to be proposed?
Well, there have been many things proposed because they've been accepting proposals. There are grants, but also they have a website where people who are just doing projects, having parades in their city, having exhibits, you can post the notices. So that's good. That's just beginning to start filling up. By filling up, like people are just starting to input things. But they also have these grants and these proposals, and those, I bet, will have some really interesting fodder.
I'm interested in those. I'm less interested in some sort of giant, expensive, long-term project like a bridge to nowhere.
Even if it is public-private partnership, which is what they're saying, I
Yeah.
don't think we need it. If you look at this, the whole City Beautiful concept is from the Capitol to Civic Center. It's all part of a National Historic Site. Denver will probably have to sign off on the bridge because it would impact the local historic site. That's a beautiful civic area.
Yeah.
It would cut into demonstrations. It would cut into the free speech area. They're kind of lauding it as a free speech augmentation, but I don't think so. I mean, we like to have the citizens be able to go from one side to the other.
Yeah. Maybe the better project then for the 150th anniversary is to work on this portrait problem and figure out, I don't know, maybe we put just great artwork by local artists in the state capitol instead.
Well, they do have some random pieces, lots of controversy, but then we could all vote on that
That's true. That's true.
instead of the bridge.
Have you seen, can we see the Trump portrait? Is it publicly available?
It is in a storage.
Okay.
History Colorado took it down the day it just kind of exploded
Okay.
and put it in a safe place. And I've been pushing for it to be on display where the Civil War monument is, because that's going to be moved kind of to, I can't remember if it's a National Guard or a Colorado space that is appropriate, but I would love to see it there. I would love to people comment on it.
I feel like some lawmakers and former lawmakers were also like, this is kind of just a one-off problem. We have to maybe think about the fact that no other president is probably going to bring this up.
Right.
But we'll see.
We've never heard them do it before. I will say, if you have just governors, you will have an obvious, just as the way you would presidents, the obvious fact that there's never been a woman, and it's certainly about time for Colorado to have that.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be a glaring omission that would make people think.
Yeah, no, that's true. But also maybe this is an opportunity to, like you said, bring some portraits of just noteworthy Coloradans who have done amazing work. I was just talking to someone about Pat Schroeder the other day, and like, why don't we have a portrait of her or something like that? So we will see what happens with this portrait. Patty, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
This episode is brought to you by Xcel Energy. It's starting to heat up here in the Mile High, which means it's time to think about keeping cool. At home, your air conditioning is the single most expensive appliance you'll use, and Xcel Energy is here to keep a lid on costs and take advantage of some great rebates. They've got cool tips like inspecting your AC unit regularly, changing your filters, and considering Xcel Energy's weather stripping rebates as a great way to keep that cool air inside for less. You can also pre-cool your home in the morning and use less AC in the afternoon. Just make sure your ceiling fans are drawing air upwards in the summer and close your drapes to cool off in the later part of the day. Okay, so there's a switch on your ceiling fan. Did you know about this? I feel like a lot of people don't know. It moves the direction of the air. It's like super cool and super simple. Hot tip. Make sure that you wipe all the dust off of your ceiling fan before you do this, or you just get dust everywhere. You can use Xcel Energy's Home Energy Squad to find even more ways to save money on home energy. Become even more energy aware by going to xcelenergy.com/tips. Just check out xcelenergy.com/tips to make your energy work for you.
Summer in Salt Lake City is hot, which is why I'm always hunting for cooling fabrics, and I found them at local brand Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth makes tees and shorts with viscose made from bamboo, and the effect is a fabric that feels like cool water on my skin. But unlike other anti-heat attire, I don't look like a marathon runner or an angler in their clothes. I look, cards on the table, like the cool daughter in a Nancy Meyers movie. You and I can both be rocking the all-day crop top and studio pant when we run into each other at the farmer's market. My boyfriend will be in his stretch knit lounge tee. And we all get 40% off with promo code Cozy Salt Lake. Upgrade your summer. Go to CozyEarth.com and use all caps Cozy Salt Lake. You'll get 40% off their best-selling temperature-regulating sheets, apparel, and more. Trust me, you'll feel the difference the very first night.
All right, and we're back. It's Tuesday, which is when we hear from you, our brilliant and hilarious listeners, about things that you care about, questions, comments, thoughts about previous episodes, things you want us to investigate. I'm here with my producer, Olivia Jewel Love. Hi, Olivia.
Good morning.
So what have we got today?
We've got a voicemail from Fiona in Centennial.
Cool.
Hi, Bree. This is Fiona from Centennial. I'm calling because in your June 9th episode, you interviewed DPD Chief Thomas, and he assured us all that ICE and Immigration Enforcement do not have access to flock camera data from Denver. And he said there's never been a request to use the data for the purpose of immigration enforcement. He even continued, it would be a violation of the user agreement for it to be used for a purpose other than criminal investigation. Immigration enforcement is not a criminal violation. Since that episode came out, 9 News has uncovered that Loveland police shared their flock access login with an ATF officer who put in the search reason ICE in March and in April, long before this episode aired. So I ask you to reach out to Chief Thomas. Has Loveland PD's access been removed due to the violation of the user agreement? And why do they state that the system had not been used for immigration enforcement when it had been? What is he doing to audit the access? Is he even checking the search records? Thanks so much. Goodbye.
Oh, Fiona, I also saw this story and I had the same thoughts. Also, like, they're just control effing for ICE. I was like, it couldn't be more
It's like
obvious.
me searching for stuff on a dock.
Like-
So unsophisticated.
I have to say, I think I asked Chief Thomas that question twice for confirmation because I
Yes.
just wanted to hear him. I just was kind of in disbelief about it for this very reason, because these concerns over who has access to that data. So this is a really great question for us to follow up
Yeah, I
on.
definitely think that we can follow up and
Yeah.
see what happened there.
Because I think she brings up a good point too. Is something that gets lost in this conversation is criminal issues.
Yes.
Very separate from immigration issues, but those lines are being blurred every
They
day.
are, and it's really confusing, honestly, like just being a person, especially like online and trying to understand, there's such a narrative around like criminals,
Right.
Having these immigration hearings and issues and stuff. And
It's very
gets-
different from someone who's maybe just going through an immigration process.
it gets very confusing, especially with all the conflated language. So,
Yeah.
but I think we can definitely
I would love to ask that question
ask
for
him
Fiona for sure.
and
'Cause-
see what's up. That's wild.
Ugh, I think about it all the time now, Olivia. All the time. I mean, not just with what we're seeing with like ICE disappearing folks out of nowhere, but just like the fact that our movements are being monitored all the time, just driving through the city.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I was downtown and the light was pretty yellow and I was going through it, and I was like, don't let this be the one where I'm going to see the camera flash, please.
But I think you don't even see the camera flash for the flock ones
Yeah,
because
for the
it's
flock
not
ones,
like
you
the
don't.
speed cameras. So you're just
Don't.
kind of always being monitored. I don't love it.
Yeah,
Love
I'm
it.
doing some weird stuff in my car too. So hopefully they're not like watching me sing really loud and do weird stuff.
I saw someone filming me once, which was like very early on during TikTok,
Oh,
where they were
gosh.
filming me in my car singing, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm entertainment for someone." But whatever.
Life's a show.
But again, you can always call in and ask us questions about even episodes we've done months ago, years ago. If you have something you want to follow up on, you can give us a call, 720-500-5418, or you can email us, denver@citycast.fm. We love to hear from you. We read and listen to everything you all send us. And questions like this are really great for us to do follow-ups on, because I think a lot of folks are probably wondering that same thing Fiona's wondering.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay. And we've got another one. This one is a text. What have we got, Olivia?
All right, this text goes, Bree, fantastic interview with Jeff. They're referring to the interview with conservative talk radio host Jeff Hunt from
Yes.
last week. He was shocked that you're a witch. Shocked face emoji. This is a text. That's my interpretation. I don't think he realizes how many of us there are, nor how nature-focused and justice-oriented we are. I hope if there's a follow-up interview someday, we can learn a few things. Also, the Catholic to witchcraft pipeline is so short. Eating the body of Christ? Incense? Ceremonial dress? Come on, Jeff. It's not complicated or scary. And that's from Melissa.
Melissa, thank you so much for affirming my existence and also knowing there's more of us out there. I know there's a ton of us. I have to be honest with you. I was introduced to sort of the witchcraft side of Catholicism through my super Catholic aunt.
Yeah.
So, and I just felt like, I don't know, that interview was tense and strange, and I was like really struggling with how to approach it in the best way, and I tried to be open-minded, but I also kind of wanted to let Jeff know where I was coming from a little bit.
And honestly, I thought his response was like great in that moment. Like he was really up to play, and he was
Yeah.
not taking himself too seriously, which made the listening easier,
Yeah,
for
for
me.
sure.
But he was really you could tell he was immediately curious. It sounded like you're the first witch he's met. And when he shared it on X, formerly Twitter, he was like, guys, I talked to a real witch today. And I just thought that was so funny. I mean, it's cool. Like when sometimes we get like criticism for having, chatting with these types of people that are kind of on a different side of the issue. But it's like, really interesting when you each can like learn something new and, meet a kind of person you've never met, like a witch.
I wanted to be like, we're everywhere, Jeff.
It was a fun moment. I liked it.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation, but I just loved it. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, this is a great message. Thanks for the text.
Thank you for texting. Oh yeah, you can text this line 720-500-5418 if you don't want to leave us a voicemail or send us an email. I know texting is the easiest for me personally. Just make sure you leave us your name. That's super helpful. Well, this was great. Thanks, Olivia.
Thanks, Brie.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell painter Sarah Boardman about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya. I love Weird Al.